Get that out of the way.
There are winners and there are losers.
Yes.
Sometimes it doesn't matter what the final score is. Sometimes it doesn't matter how ugly it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't matter how bad the officiating is.
And the officiating stunk last night, but not on the last call. And that's where I listened all day. Like, learn the rules. What am I going to tell you? Now, do you want to say that they should have called a walk on Harden? They should have. A blatant walk.
Turned out not to matter, by the way.
You want to say that, Harden flopped on a three and got another cheap foul call? Yeah. He did.
Kyrie trips over his own two legs, gets a call? Absolutely. Look,
yes.
The Knicks last night, I say this as a Net fan, I'm very honest, the Nets got the whistles last night. And if you're a Net fan, and I know you'll appreciate this, we have waited decades to get the freaking whistle. Okay, we've waited decades to get superstar calls. So from a Net fan perspective, you shouldn't care. From a Knick fan perspective, it was frustrating.
No, the referees, it was listen, the Knicks weren't good enough to win the game.
Missed open shots.
But the fact is the referees did play a role in the outcome after the Knicks do make a spirited comeback. They had 5 chances to get within one or
Tons
even
of
tie
open
it.
looks, Craig. Tons.
Couldn't knock down a 3 when they really needed it, other than Burks late. But the reality is this. Everybody's yelling and screaming about the situation with Kyrie and Randall at the end of the game. I followed basketball for 40-plus years. Evans followed basketball for 30-plus years. I would love to sit here and tell you that was the most egregious part of the game. It wasn't.
No.
It was actually the right call.
And when the
ball never comes out of Randall's hands.
That's the key. That is the whole key to it. He never lost possession or control of the basketball. And there's going to be a 2-minute report in a couple of hours. And I would brace everyone to expect that they are going to confirm that call.
Well, they're going to tell you that other calls in the game,
of course,
were brutal.
Dude,
that went against the Knicks.
How many of the 6 fouls on Frank Ntilikina, who played really well considering he had no offensive ability yesterday? He defended well. That's why Thibodeau was giving him big minutes down the stretch. But how many of the 6 fouls called on Frank were legitimate fouls?
3 or 4.
Maybe less. Maybe less. I'm being honest with you.
The last 2 were garbage calls. At best, ticky-tack. At worst, he didn't touch them.
And I'm surprised. And look, it paid off for Thibodeau. Because of the challenge used on the Joe Harris call that turned into a jump ball, which gave the Knicks the possession, I would have thrown a challenge flag, if you will, on the 6th foul on Frank. I would have challenged that.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't, actually. But I'm with you. Listen, the refs stunk. The Knicks aren't as good as the Nets also. Let's just say what it is. Now, that being said, everyone that's crying and yelling and screaming today about the non-call or the call, that's basically how you want to look at it, on Randall at the end of the game when he tries to take the 3. There is no debating the fact, we all saw it, Kyrie's hand does touch the basketball.
Yes.
So that's not up for conversation or debate. But the ball never comes out of Randall's hands.
He lose control of the basketball. He never did. That's the bottom line. That's the simplistic way to look at it. And you can go back on YouTube or the NBA app and analyze it a million times. That's the key. Did he ever lose control of the basketball because of Kyrie hitting the ball? It didn't happen. And look, here's what I would love. And I know you love it deep down, even though you know they got the call right. You love the fire from Julius. You love him being pissed off.
Yes, I like that. But the reaction, and here's the deal. Thibodeau said nothing. Now, this is the end of the game. The Knicks lose the game, essentially, on that play, right? And while Randall's going crazy, Thibodeau's not. Don't you think Thibodeau would have gone, bat bleep crazy if he thought that was an improper call? He
was for other calls.
Right.
Think about it. He was for other calls.
That alone should tell you. Randall's reacting emotionally.
Which is fine.
Because he's trying to take a 3, and Kyrie gets his hand on the ball, and the Knicks never get a shot to try to tie the game. I mean, that's the end of the game.
Yeah.
But Thibodeau, understanding what the rule is, reacted the way a guy that understands the rules.
And listen, Knicks fans, you had a lot of bad calls go against you last night. I'll be the first one to admit it. But don't focus on the call that the officials actually got right.
Yeah, there's so many calls they got wrong.
Oh, my God. Dude, Kyrie at one point tripped over his own 2 legs and got the whistle. And great, superstars get calls. But I can understand the deep frustration if you're a Knicks fan last night. But as a wise man once told me, there are winners.
Don't do that.
What?
Don't do that.
What do you mean? I can't. Why can't I do that? Why?
Go ahead and do it.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead, ingratiate yourself less. Go
I'm
ahead.
just being honest. Dude, I call it like it is, whether you like
win
it
is
or
a
anyone
win.
likes it.
Take the win,
There
be happy.
are winners,
Yes.
and then there are losers.
There
Now,
are.
to my friends who are Knick fans,
Yeah.
tonight, I hope you're a winner.
Tonight's a tough spot
I'm
for the
a
Knicks.
big Knick fan tonight, baby.
Yes,
Let's
because if
go.
the Knicks win tonight, the Nets are in first.
Let's go.
Yeah, so every Net fan in America is now a Knick fan for one night.
R.J. Barrett's my guy.
We don't want you on that wall. We don't need you on that wall. Matter of fact, stay off our goddamn wall. The Knicks are in a bad spot tonight against Philly. I think.
I know.
I think the Knicks are going to get blown out of the building myself.
No Joel Embiid.
But, yeah,
Come
no
on.
Joel Embiid, so maybe Randall comes back with a 30 and 15 or something like that. Who knows? That being said, listen, the Knicks were down 18. Came all the way back and made it a game, and it was entertaining at the very end. And I will say this. Well, I think, what was the number? 1,300 fans? Is that the official number?
1,300 fans, yeah.
I did appreciate what James Harden said after the game. And I'm not sure why he said it, but he said it. Could hear a lot of Knick fans. So even when you only have 1,000 or so people in the building,
Well,
it's still dominating
I'm
by
going to
Knick
give
fans.
I'm going to give you the reality.
Thank you.
Because I was in the building. So I'm going to give you the reality, and it's a compliment, so expect the good news to come for my fellow Knick fans out there. There were more Net fans in the building than Knick fans.
I would hope so. You
By a
guys have
lot.
a championship team.
But here's the thing I don't understand, but is reality.
Yeah.
The Knick fans that were there were loud.
Yeah.
They were screaming, they were chanting, and they were into it.
It's called real basketball fans.
Okay. The Net fans that were there,
Yes.
not myself and my wife, because we were loud and screaming, but the Net fans that were there were very quiet. And that's why I agree with James Harden.
Yeah.
You heard the Knick fan more than the Net fan.
I'll say this.
That's just the
When-
reality. I'm sorry.
About 3.5, 4 minutes to go. At one point, the Knicks cut it to 4. Timeout. I called Evan up.
You did. What was up with that?
Knicks got it to 4. I wanted to hear how quiet the building was.
No. This is the problem. This is what really
I heard
pissed me
Evan
off
like it was
about this.
clear as day. No noise.
Well, here's the problem. So I'm sitting there watching the game. Knicks pull within 4. And I'm honest, I was never fully nervous.
About 3 or 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, I was
it was
never
before
nervous
the mad
because
rush.
I trust this team. I mean, this is a team that's now won 13 out of 14. They've played a lot better defense during this stretch.
Yeah.
They've closed out close games incredibly well. I never was that nervous, but in the back of my mind, I know they lose this game, I'm never going to hear the end of it. But of all times to call me, Craig calls me when the Knicks pull it to 4, and then plays it as if he wants to just know what the place is like.
Yeah, how's it going?
So he plays how is it getting in?
Yeah,
How is the parking?
That's right.
How was the energy in the building?
That's right.
And at first, I answered the phone by saying, "What do you want?"
Yeah, yes, you did.
But as you started asking these, fair questions, I was giving you answers. But I was like, "Why did this guy call me now?"
Yeah, I called because the Knicks got within 4.
Why?
That's why.
Why? So you're just trying to be a jerk?
Yeah, I want to
So-
see.
so you
I
do
want to
that.
hear what the reaction would be as the Knicks close the gap to 4 with 3.5, 4
So
minutes to go.
you do that,
Yeah.
and then you get so sad when I say that there are winners and there are losers.
Well, there are winners and losers. The
And-
Knicks were losers
Okay,
last night.
yeah.
Listen, what am I going to do? Say they weren't?
Wasn't pretty.
The Knicks didn't win anything by keeping it close.
No.
I guess unless you were vested in the game.
Well, there
But-
are some Knick fans. One guy, Sal Licata, who tweets, "I'm happy after this game, and Net fans are upset." I mean, what a loser mentality that is.
No, that's,
like Knick fans are happy they kept it close, and I'm upset. Look, it wasn't the prettiest. As I drove home last night, I was happy. I was happy they won 13 out of 14, and I was happy that I was in a real arena with people there.
Yeah.
Like, dude, there was something really
Why
refreshing.
did they only do 1,000 or so people? Why weren't they doing the? I guess that is about 10%.
No,
right?
that is 10%.
1,400. Yeah, that's
1,400's
right.
the number, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's what
look,
it is.
Here's a bottom line for anyone who's been to the Garden or been to Barclays Center or the Rock or wherever. It's not the same, but it's something. And that's how I felt. There was a little bit of sense of normalcy of being in that arena, you know?
Meanwhile, when we got off the air yesterday, the New York Jets had done nothing, and we were very, very upset about it all afternoon yesterday.
Yes.
And then over the course of the evening, the New York Jets got active and got very active.
Yes.
They got their edge rusher. They got a wide receiver. They spent a bunch of money. And while I hope they're not done, they did salvage the first 24 hours. So we're going to get to that because we do owe the Jets maybe not an apology.
No
But we
apologies.
do need to at least
Look, you
acknowledge
even
that the New
said-
York Jets made some good deals.
You even said, and you used Carl Lawson as an example, the edge pass rusher they
Yes,
stole
I
away
did.
from Cincinnati. You used him as an example saying, hey, as upset as you are, as upset as Jet fans are, we may have a different tune if they go out and sign, and I think you used Carl Lawson and Juju as an example.
Right.
They went out and signed Corey Davis, who I have an opinion on. We'll get to it later. But they did go out and make moves.
Yes.
So us being upset for the 5 hours we were on as the Patriots are making every move in America and Jet targets are ending up elsewhere, specifically offensive line targets, was all fair criticism.
Yes, in the moment, it was very fair. We weren't whiny little bitches as we have been called on Twitter. We were living in the moment, and in the moment, every Jet fan was ticked off. Now, we even ended the show yesterday when I said, why don't we just wait to see what happens when we come back on tomorrow? Maybe the Jets will have made some moves that we like. Here's the focus today, though. The New York Giants embarrassed themselves yesterday.
Boy, where do you want to start with that?
And I'm trying to figure out why a cap-strapped organization decided to sign a backup running back. Like, I apologize if you're a Giant fan. I know, shut up, you're a Jet fan. Now, objective viewing. The New York Giants, if you're a diehard Giant fan, are you thrilled with what the New York Giants did? They lost another defensive tackle who is eminently resignable.
Well, they lost the guy they drafted and developed.
Not just that, they could have traded him because the Packers were begging for him, as Ian Rappaport reported. So they get nothing for him. They don't re-sign him, and they lose him. But instead, they signed Devontae Booker. Why?
And they're going to let Wayne Gallman go.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Ask yourself this, because Wayne Gallman's a free agent, and I think we'd admit he was good last year.
I thought when he had a chance to play, Wayne Gallman was very good.
And I don't want to hear, Devontae Booker's more of a weapon of catching the ball out of the backfield. Give me a break. They could have brought back Wayne Gallman, number one, because he's better, and number two, because the New York Giants don't have a lot of money. They're not restructuring contracts outside of Nate Solder. They should be, by the way. Every other team in the league is, especially knowing the cap's going to go up in the next couple of years. They are stuck because of the Leonard Williams situation, which we got to get into because that's getting more complicated. And so they have only precious dollars to use, even a $3 million cap hit, which I understand is not huge, but every dollar matters. To use that on a guy who last year was a cap hit of less than $1 million, who's an average to below average backup running back. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't get it. I can't figure it out. I really can't. And I see all these other teams that are restructuring contracts to give themselves some more cap freedom.
Do you remember what Gettleman said? Gettleman said, we don't believe in restructuring.
Well, that's asinine.
Well, you have to.
Right.
Because in the past, restructuring is kicking the can down the road. But in this world, the cap went down. The cap is going to go up. You need to give yourself wiggle room right now, especially, Craig, in a season in which the Giants have to win. Let's just call it like it is. The expectations for the New York Football Giants next year, they better be in the playoffs, and they're getting worse. Yep. Right now, when you look at this roster, and again, like the Jets, there's time for things to happen.
Sure.
They're getting worse.
But here's the difference. The Jets have money, plenty of money to sign guys. Yep. The New York Giants don't. So what I'm trying to figure out is, You developed Dalvin Tomlinson into a good player.
Played every game.
Okay? Now, the Green Bay Packers wanted him in the worst way before the trade deadline last year. Mm-hmm. You decided not to trade him. So why would you let him walk for nothing when you could have traded him? Like, if he wasn't in your long-term plans, and by the way, this is not a new general manager. This is not a new head coach. These are not guys that are coming to the party late who didn't get to be involved in those decisions, 4 months ago. These are the same guys. So if you're going to let him walk, why wouldn't you have traded him? Right? So here's a guy who goes to Minnesota, gone. And if you ask New York Giant fans, and I'm not a Giant fan, so I'll put it on you guys if you're Giant fans, I would think that coming into this free agency period, well aware that you guys were kind of cap-strapped compared to teams like the Jets, like the Patriots, if I told you that they were not going to re-sign Tomlinson, but instead they were going to bring in a backup running back, what would you have said? Just on the surface.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Devontae Booker, but what did Wayne Gallman do that was wrong? Right?
No, dude, Wayne Gallman last year, if anything, proved his worth.
Yeah.
And proved his value.
Plus, you anticipate Saquon's coming back. I know that's a question mark based on the injury, but all signs are Saquon's going to be ready to go for this season. So did you think a backup running back was the biggest need that you had?
No. Wasn't even
Not
close.
by a long shot.
And Dave Gettleman's track record of bringing in these backup running backs has been awful the last couple of years, but that's not even the point. The point is this, and there's a few issues, kind of clouds hanging over the Giants. Number one is Leonard Williams. Okay, Dave Gettleman did something once in his career a few years ago, and he may have to do it again. He rescinded a franchise tag, and he did that for Josh Norman. He has to consider, Craig, rescinding the Leonard Williams franchise tag for two reasons, okay? And by the way, that doesn't mean Leonard Williams is gone. Just hear me out.
Right.
If you rescind Leonard Williams' franchise tag, now all of a sudden you got tons of cap space to do things. But number two, I'm starting to think Leonard Williams is holding the Giants hostage. He has a $19 million cap hit. There was a report this morning, Leonard Williams, Craig, wants more than $19 million per year. That's crazy.
Well, especially because they all think next year the cap's going to explode because of the new TV deal.
So you know what you
there are guys like Leonard Williams who, it may behoove him to take the tag the 1 year and then roll your dice as a free agent.
Let me ask you this. If tomorrow or even today, Dave Gettleman said, you know what, we're going to play a little poker here, and it's dangerous, I understand. We're going to rescind the franchise tag. What is Leonard Williams going to get on the open market?
Well, he's already been hurt by the fact that a lot of teams have already spent a lot of money.
Bingo. That's why players hate that kind of thing. But if they rescind his franchise tag, two things. Now you're daring Leonard Williams, and it's risky because Leonard Williams could leave. Sure. And I understand that. Guy had a monster year last year. Gettleman gave up a lot to get him a couple of years ago to the Jets.
And there's enough teams that haven't spent any money yet that would grab him up in a minute.
No, absolutely. Yeah. But is he going to get the price he's asking for? Because they can't live with Leonard Williams on a franchise tag. It is killing them. The reason Dalvin Tomlinson has gone, besides the stupidness of the Booker move, which I agree with, but besides that, the reason or one of the reasons they're in such a bad spot is the Leonard Williams franchise tag.
No doubt about it.
So if there's no movement on a long-term contract, then maybe you've got to dare him. Maybe you've got to say, you know what? Bye-bye franchise tag. You think you're getting $19 million a year? Go.
Yeah, the problem is that if you do that, you have to do that with a plan in mind of if you're not re-signing him, who are you signing?
When they already lost Dalvin Tomlinson.
And they've already lost Dalvin Tomlinson.
I know, but this is a killer.
They've already lost Hendrickson when and Lawson when and all the guys that you would covet. If you're talking specifically defense, they're all gone. Well, they're all gone.
Dude,
what a terrible job thus far by the New York Giants. I don't get it. They didn't have a lot of money to begin with. And they got a running back?
Now, what if they end up signing Kenny Gallman? Does that change everything?
Yeah, it changes a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's still out there.
Well, you better go get him.
I think that's a guy they may be targeting.
You better go get him.
But the Leonard Williams thing, bro, is killing them.
Yeah.
That $19 million cap hit. I think we all figured they would have worked out an extension by now. A cap-friendly in year one extension. And it hasn't happened.
Right. Now, I'm not sure if that's the Giants' fault or if that's Leonard's fault. Saying, all right, you tagged me. I'm going to wait till next year to get the big bucks.
Look,
that's it.
It's nobody's.
He doesn't have to negotiate.
It's nobody's quote-unquote fault. Leonard Williams has a right to ask for $30 million a year. The Giants have a right to say, we're not giving it to you.
Yeah.
But the point is, the Giants are being put in a worse spot because of this.
Let me just say this for all you Giant fans out there. If the Giants sign Kenny Galladay, fantastic. Fantastic. But that's kind of where they're at. That would be you want to sign Juju? I know there's been some reports today that the Giants are interested in Juju. Fantastic.
Well, they need a number one receiver, and I'm sorry, Juju is not a number one receiver.
I disagree with you on that.
You do? Okay.
I do. So, if the Giants get Juju or Galladay, then we will come on the air and say, great job by the Giants. They got a great wide receiver. Until they do that, though, in the moment, if you're a diehard Giant fan, you got to be miserable. Sorry. Kind of like Jet fans yesterday, up until about 7:30. You got to be miserable.
The mood changed. The mood changed last night as I was getting my derriere comfortable at Barclays Center. When I sat down, I said, what's going on?
Yeah.
And I see Lawson. And I see, all right, Joe Douglas woke up. All right, Corey Davis, who, okay, well, whatever.
I'm not going to go crazy on him.
I'm not going to go, well, I think what we have to do, it's similar to Leonard Williams.
Third option on a run-heavy team. Go.
Leonard Williams was a very high premium pick by the Jets, which means he had a high bar for us. He never lived up to that bar. Was he a good player? Yes, never lived up to it. He goes to the Giants, different expectations. Corey Davis out of Western Michigan was supposed to be a Hall of Famer. Seriously, that's what I had heard. This is a stud. This is a number one receiver. That's for Tennessee. That's not for us. I think as a Jet fan, what you have to do when you look at Corey Davis is say, I see a guy who can block, I see a guy who's getting better, but I don't have the expectations that this guy's the next Jerry Rice.
Well, We got a lot to do today. We'll get your calls throughout. Of course, the Nick game last night, Jets and Giants free agency, and who's next to either embarrass themselves or do something that the fan base likes. Here's where we all have something in common. Yesterday, for the majority of the day, Jet fans were miserable. Today, for the majority of the day, Giant fans, miserable. Misery loves company. We're all New Yorkers. We all love football. We all want. Selfish bastards. The Jets got. Will the Giants get today? We'll be with you throughout the afternoon to figure it out. 877-337-6666. Live from the Town Fair Tire Studios, powered by Town Fair Tire. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody.